One of Call of Duty Zombies' biggest points of conversation is around the map Transit, and how it has been regarded as arguably one of the worst maps in Call of Duty Zombies history. I'm here today to give my opinion on the map and why I believe that it is not only a great map, but I also agree that it is a bad map as well. I am somebody who firmly recognizes the side that most people are on when they say that this map is terrible, but I also recognize my own bias in the sense that I grew up with this map, and I've come to find its uniqueness and its greatest strength in why I think it's great and enjoyable. I may have some nostalgia glasses on for this one, but at the end of the day, this is my opinion, and I'll be curious to know how you all feel about what it is I have to say as we run through this video. If this video can get 30 likes, that would be very much appreciated as a goal for this video. Transit was one of the many beginnings of my time playing mature rated games. Black Ops 2 came out during my last few years of middle school going into high school, and I wasn't really playing a lot of games like this at the time. This is possibly one of the areas that probably influenced me so much into why at an early age I was actually so invested in a map like this, and I was enjoying my time playing it. It was such a new experience to me, considering the fact that I had never played Call of Duty Zombies before that. To this day, I remember the feeling of going to my buddy's house with all my other friends, and we sit down and play it on his PlayStation. To this day, that is one of my favorite moments that I have had as a kid. The emotions and the experiences that we had while running through each part of the map was something else to behold. It didn't matter if it was us running through the fog and getting chased down by denizens, building the jet gun and then only using it once, or even playing funny with the bus every now and then and somebody gets stuck behind. There was always an experience to be had with a map like this, for good or bad, or just for pure fun. Again, whether you like this map or not, or are indifferent on it and in the middle, you can't deny that this map leaves for such a unique experience to the world of COD Zombies. Now, from my point of view, I have many things that I want to talk about that I feel are good to this map that I know some people are probably going to heavily disagree with me on, but I'm here for the fun discussion. For one, I always loved how unique this map is in terms of its design. To this day, I would argue that we have not had a map that is as uniquely designed as this one. Sure, you could argue that, say, a map like Moon, for example, is the most unique because of the fact that it is straight up on the moon of all places, but I would argue the location is more unique than its actual layout design. The main motive of transportation from Transit is the bus, and you don't get that with other maps. Origins does have the tank for you to ride on around the map, but that's not the main mode of moving around, especially when it is a timed thing that you have to pay for. I'll also give a caveat to GOOD of Tranzit, for an example, as the fact that they let you travel through the map on a dragon. So, you know what, actually, I take it back. GOOD of Tranzit is number one, and I'm sure if Mr. Telexify is reacting to this video, he'll probably agree with that. I would give GOOD of Tranzit the number one spot because you literally fly on top of a dragon, and then Transit takes the number two spot. Whether or not you like how the bus is utilized based on its systematic purpose of having to wait versus actually paying for it to move is a different story. I know many people have suggested that that would have been a better way, but I will argue that even just having the bus there in the first place is still uniquely fun as a gameplay experience. Being able to customize it with Buildables and then also it acting as a way for zombies to get in with the barriers, again, just adds more to its fun gameplay aesthetic. I will also say that Ted, the bus driver robot, is hilarious, and I like that they play fun with it to where if you piss him off enough, he'll literally kick you off the bus. Something else about the map that I think is awesome is the atmosphere. The thing about this map to me that atmospherically really planted itself in my head is the fact that when you just look at the sky, for example, it just looks like you are straight up living in an apocalypse. Don't get me wrong, I like the fact that most zombies maps in this franchise have their own unique style to showcasing where a zombie outbreak would take place, but Transit just has that very apocalyptic look to it that I feel makes it fit in line with what it means for a worldwide zombies outbreak to happen. Technically, that's not why the Earth looks the way that it does because of the fact that it was blown up in Black Ops 1, but that kind of thing is bad enough that it would make the world just completely look dreary and filled with fire. You add zombies to it, and it literally just makes it look like it's a full-on zombie apocalypse. So yeah, overall, I'd say that the feeling, tone, and atmosphere is communicated very well throughout this map. And honestly, that kind of leads into another point, which I know I'm going to get supreme hate for this, but I actually don't mind the fog.
Fog rolling in, that's where your combat experiences. I love fog rolling in. Origins takes place in fog rolling in. We pay homage to fog rolling in. Origins is one of my favorite maps of all time. We have a larger scales of fog rolling in. Oh, by the way, did I mention the giant fog rolling in?
I get it!
Again, I think it just adds to what they were trying to go for. The world, at least from the place that you are in on this map, is consumed by fire and smoke, and so it makes sense that it looks this way. With the smoke does come the denizens, which I'll admit I agree with people when they say that they are very annoying, but at the same time I like how horrifying they are, especially if you are a first-time player of the map. I remember playing this map for the first time, and me and my buddies were absolutely losing our minds anytime we got trapped in the roads, or when we wanted to go any of the secret locations outside of the roads, in the cornfield Nocturne Toten structure, or the cabin to get one of the jet gun parts. Speaking of those two locations, that is another reason why I like this map so much. The map doesn't constrain you to only have to be on the bus when you are traveling down the roads. It is obviously the preferred method to get down the roads, but I do like the fact that there are locations that you can go to outside of it. And speaking of locations and layout, that's kind of the next point I want to get into. I really love the fact that there is a separate location that kind of features itself as its own map inside of this one map that is Transit. You could pretty much survive in any one of those areas, whether it's the bus depot, diner, town, farm, or hell, if you are really up for the challenge, go and try the power station. Again, I love this about this map, that it's not necessarily saying that you can only stick in one spot, but that you can go to many of the different spots. And one of the better decisions that this game made was that they made those locations their own maps, as well as their own modes for survival, grief, and turned as well, even if that doesn't necessarily relate to Transit. Regarding my next point, which is about the crew that we get with this map, I have to say the Victis Crew is one to have some enjoyment with, but also I acknowledge some annoyance as well. Between all four characters of Misty, Russman, Marlton, and Stuhlinger, I like that each is given their own type of personality. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but even if your map isn't always the best, it's good that you have a set of characters to go with it. If this map had operators like the new maps of today have, I honestly think it would have been unbearable, to be honest. I know people don't like this crew as much as practically so many other different crews that we have had on other maps, but I am just appreciative of the fact that the map does have one in the first place. Don't get me wrong, this crew is by no means better than the likes of Primus and Ultimus, the Mob of the Dead crew, Shadows of Evil, or even a crew like the one from 5. I guarantee most people would still rank them at the bottom, but again, like I said, they are a crew and they exist, and it's better than having no crew at all. They also feel like they fit in with the place that this map takes place in, especially considering someone like Misty, for example, who is a tomboy farm girl, and one of the locations on this map is a farm. Now, you're probably wondering who is my favorite character of this crew, and honestly, I'd say that regarding who I feel like I pertain to the most, it would probably be Marlton, simply because of the fact that he does come off as a huge nerd, and I myself am a huge nerd about a lot of things, so I guess it'll be that. In other cases, I guess you could say that my favorite character is probably Misty, because, I mean, I don't know, man, she's kind of cute. I mean, the tomboy look, for some reason, as of lately, has been kind of doing it for me with regards to, you know, girls that I've seen that, you know, express that kind of look. And so if you would just look at some of the photos of her, you know, it kind of just shows, she's pretty damn cute. I gotta say it for what it is, man. I'm not gonna hold back on that. If any of you had to pick who you think your favorite character is in this crew, who would it be and why? And then also, who do you think you like the least? Also, where do you think this crew ranks amongst all the other crews that we have ever gotten in Zombies before? And it doesn't matter which game it comes from. Let me know down below in the comments. Now, of course, as I've already alluded to, there are also some bad things to this map that we should absolutely address that go along with the title of this video of why I think the Transit is a good and bad quality map. I mentioned it earlier, but the bus system, while unique and interesting, does have some flaws to it. I've seen a lot of people in the past discuss the idea that the bus would have been much better off if it was a decision-based system where you can choose to pay for it and let it leave with you anytime you want, instead of it just being the automated system that it is now, where it leaves on a time system. If you do not interact with the bus or stay by it at each stop, then it will depart every 2 minutes. If the bus leaves without you and it has no one in it, then it will travel from stop to stop every 3 to 5 minutes. No one will deny the bus is super important to this map, and so this system definitely hinders a lot of playability for things that you might want to do, depending on if it's completing the Easter egg or if it's trying to get the jet gun parts to build it. You can't just travel through the fog in the road all the time, and you also can't travel in a certain area where there might be lava and magma on your way, which is right as you are leaving the town or leaving the diner. Without a doubt, it is a flawed system, and I agree with people when they say that it should have been done better. Another area that I would absolutely agree with everyone on when they say it needed much better work is the pack-a-punch. This might honestly arguably be the worst part of the map for me. I'm not sure what drugs and alcohol that were being smoked and consumed at the time when they came up with this decision, but it is clear as day that they thought way too hard on this. I think they tried to be too clever and different with this style of getting a Pack-a-Punch that it's just in the end not going to make any logical sense. Building the Pack-a-Punch as a buildable is one thing, but having to travel across the map to get the parts, building a turbine to leave at the power station to open it up, and hoping that it doesn't get destroyed by the time you get there is a lot to ask for. If you've played the map enough times, it's not that much of a hassle, but let's say you get further and further into the game, then it becomes even harder for you to keep up with it, especially when the zombies get harder to kill and are faster in speed. I definitely think that the Pack-a-Punch on this map would have been way better off if it was just a buildable without the unnecessary need to use that turbine from another side of the map to turn on the door to get into it. It just feels very unnecessary to do something like that. Also, I will say I don't think the camo for Pack-a-Punch guns on this map isn't the greatest either. I think they probably could have done a little better with that too. It's probably one of the most unnoticeable Pack-a-Punch camos in the zombies lore as far as I know and as far as I've seen from every single Pack-a-Punch camo that's ever existed. Another area that this map is severely lacking in and does not do a good job with is with its wonder weapon. The jet gun might be famous, but not for the right reasons. For one, only one person can use it, which depending on who you are might be a better fit because wonder weapons are supposed to feel bigger and more damaging, so in the hands of all 4 players it would be pretty insane. However, it does break down easily if you use it too much and not efficiently, and also it's honestly not the most powerful thing in the world. I've seen a lot of people say that the Paralyzer is a better version of the jet gun, and in some cases I do agree with that. Also, the Paralyzer is just as much of a cooler design and efficient weapon to use. And like I just said, you have to build it again if it breaks down, and for a lot of people that can get a little annoying, especially when you consider the fact that there are so many other wonder weapons that we have seen in COD Zombies where you don't have to do it again. Definitely one of its biggest problems that separated so heavily from other wonder weapons is that. Another area I'd say that this map suffers in a little bit, and this is a little smaller than the other reasons, but it is the buildables. In my opinion, the only 2 that are absolutely necessary are the turbine and the shield. Of course, the turbine is only really necessary for Pack-a-Punch unless you really are keen on not wanting to turn on the power station, which honestly I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to unless you don't want to come across the boss in Avogadro. The shield of course is very helpful, and everybody here knows exactly why. However, all the other buildables, if you don't include the jet gun, are pretty bad. The lawnmower turret is utterly useless, especially when we are talking about the fact that you need a damn turbine to use it, and then the electrotrap is honestly so forgettable that I'm not even kidding you, I feel like I've only ever seen one clip in the last 10 years since this map has been a thing where I actually saw somebody use it in a playthrough, and I guess in that case that could also go for the lawnmower turret as well. And also, like the lawnmower turret, you also need the turbine to use it. There is no reason why you need 2 buildables at the same time in order to just use one of them. The bus buildables also leave a little to be desired, even though I would say that they are still fine and cool to look at when you actually put them on the bus. It doesn't matter if it's putting it on the plow, which is known to help prevent zombies from getting on the windows, the ladder, which is put on the side, which allows you to get on top of the bus, and then the hatch inside, which is used to either get on top of the diner or get on top of the bus from inside. I think that the hatch is completely useless for the bus because for one, it allows zombies to get in, and also you already have the ladder anyway, so the much better preferred use of that is to put it in the diner. I would say also those buildable parts do pretty much give the bus a better personality than if it was just a regular old plain bus. The Easter egg is another interesting area for me, and honestly, it's not even an area I can consider either a flaw or a good thing. Considering the fact that it's one of the many zombies Easter eggs that I have not completed or tried, it would seem I don't have much say in its quality. For me, back in the day, my focus Easter egg wise was always on Mob of the Dead and Origins. Me and my buddies never bothered to really try and go for the ones for Die Rise, Transit, and then surprisingly even Buried, for as much as I did play Buried. Buried is a map that I feel we tried once, but in the end we found it was just more fun to play than go for the Easter egg. So regarding Transit in that case, I can't really speak to how I would feel about it. However, I've seen it be done before, and I'll say that it seems like it's a very simple Easter egg that you could get done very easily. The thing, however, that is impressed me the most about it is how much passion and dedication I've seen so many people put into it to try and complete the Easter egg in the world record pace. The Easter egg for this map was never supposed to be done by one person, but with multiple people, and as time went on, people found a way to do it solo, and the world records that I've seen be done for this one are just insane. Like, I'm talking 1 in a billion chances insane. It's honestly pretty crazy, honestly, I won't lie, and so for that, I would say that it gets my stamp of approval for a decent Easter egg, but overall, I recognize that it's not the most overly talked about one in terms of the overall number of Easter eggs in COD Zombies. Speaking of which, as I just mentioned him earlier, the Avogadro Avogadro mini-boss of this map is kind of lame. No offense to my man, but honestly, I've never really cared too much for him. First of all, the way to defeat him, quote-unquote, is kind of dumb, but I get why it's the way it is. You have to either knife him or EMP him with the grenades. Honestly, with that in mind, he just becomes a huge annoyance after a while. He's got a cool design, but other than that, the only real thing that he even needs to be used for is the Easter egg. It's like with Mob of the Dead, as Brutus is the mini-boss for that map. He is a much better version of Avogadro in my opinion. He's not too difficult to defeat, but when you do kill him whenever he shows up, he gives you a magic drop. Avogadro doesn't do any of that, and again, he is just a really huge pain in the ass. So yeah, I think that other than that, I've pretty much covered every single thing that I've wanted to talk about with regards to this map, but now for the final part of this video, I wanted to go over to Reddit, and I know Reddit is not the best place to get a lot of information for stuff like this, but I thought I'd give it a shot, and I asked a couple of different pages around what they think about the map 10 years later, and if their thoughts have changed over time from then versus now. We do have a couple here, and one guy talked about the idea of how he grew up on the bus and loved the map, but then over time he got bored of it. Someone also said it's one of their favorites, but that zombies sucked after BO2 and fuck, I'm a boomer, as he says in parentheses. I mean, that's a pretty funny comment, so I'll give him that one. And then this other guy says that people need to actually play the map and enjoy it for what it is. To some degree, I don't necessarily disagree or agree with that. I think the map does have flaws, but I also agree that it is an enjoyable map if you just let yourself go and just have fun with friends. Ultimately, I would say that that is actually the biggest benefit to this map, is that you would much rather play it with friends, whether it's one person, two people, or three people. It is way better than playing solo, I will agree with that. We got a couple more from the main Call of Duty Reddit page where we have someone saying that they used to love it and defend it when people would talk shit about it, but now they are not so keen on it. And then he also shouted out the Leviathan Black Ops 3 custom map, which I've seen many of the big guys like Noah J and Mr. T-Lexify play when it came out. That is a very cool map. Someone else on this page said that they loved it then, and then they loved it now. It's unique and fun to play with friends, albeit not perfect. Overall, I'd say I'd agree with that comment the most. It is pretty much how I have summarized the map throughout this entire video. We now finally move over to the main COD Zombies Reddit page, which has given us some interesting convos to look at. These guys talk about the idea of what it means to play with friends versus playing solo, and how overall the map feels like a 6.5 out of 10. Overall, it seems like you either think it's boring or you might just want to have fun with it and not really take it too serious, which I totally understand from some people's perspectives. There was also a whole comment thread about this person bringing up the idea that the map has technological limitations and that he would love to see a remaster to help out with that. This was an interesting conversation because some people went back and forth on the idea that the map doesn't have any limitations and that what it does have inside of it is what makes it unique. So that includes stuff like the fog, lava, denizens, and all the other things it comes with. I personally don't think you should be removing that. However, I will say I've seen some people with the use of custom zombies create new versions of Transit, which I'm absolutely loving when I see it. I think the original version is fine on its own, but I obviously don't mind seeing people try to do their own thing with the map too. Don't get me wrong, I think some things could have been improved in this map. However, the original just in its own way is so unique to itself. In terms of other comments, people have mentioned that atmospherically it is great, but its execution is poor. I saw someone talk about split screen, which is another plus for me. Split screen on this map was so fun. Man, I miss when split screen was even more talked about in the gaming scene in general. Every game should have that in it, and yes, I'm looking at you, Halo Infinite. I have no idea how you fumbled the bag on that one. Getting back to the main point, I saw a bunch of people say that it is boring, but still fun as just a zombies experience. More people mentioning playing with friends is awesome, and then you have some people saying that it gets too much hate, which I do kind of agree with. But overall, those are most of the things that I saw people comment on in these Reddit pages, so much of which is along my line of thoughts, but also some from people who disagree with me, which is totally fine. I think it is time to end off this video, and man, this one is a long one for me. Probably one of the top 5 bigger videos I've made in recent memory, and it was a passionate one for me since this is literally the map that I grew up on. I love it to this day, but I recognize the faults too, which is why I think, as the title says, it is a good and bad map. So what do you all think? Please drop all your comments and thoughts down below. Have a fun conversation about it. Do it respectfully as well. I'm sure there will be disagreements, but I still want to see people talk about it with each other. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and enjoy Call of Duty as much as I do, and then also turn on that notification bell. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of their day, and I'll see you all soon for another video. This is Orion, signing out.